Hi Peaches, it's Shaaba. Welcome back to my channel and thank you for clicking on another video. Today I come to you with a brain fart. I'm a tiny bit nervous about this brain fart as well because I think normally I can see very objectively both sides of the coin, whereas today I'm doing this really to help myself grow. I also want to disclaim that in today's video I'm going to be talking about older people, and I realize there are probably a lot of people of the older generation than I am in who watch these videos. If that is you, you are not the sort of person that I am talking about. I'm not even talking about people who are of the older generation who are very blatantly discriminatory, whether that be racism or in any other way, you know, just being very, very bigoted. The group of people that I am referring to are the people who I run into and who say some like questionable, low-key discriminatory things that make you just sort of double take in your mind and think like, that's not really okay. You know, the stuff that just makes you feel uncomfortable but isn't necessarily bad intentioned. Is that something to call out? Part of me says, yeah, it's okay, but the other part of me knows that it isn't. We'll get into that. But first, I do just need to say a real quick thank you to today's video sponsor, BetterHelp. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, which is a perfect time to raise awareness about mental health, fight stigma, and provide support for people who are struggling. This year's theme is Together for Mental Health, sharing personal stories to encourage people to prioritize their mental health. And as you know, I've been very open on this channel about my own journey with therapy. I use a subservice of BetterHelp called Pride Counselling, which has been incredible for me and has done such fantastic things for my personal state of mind. And so if you feel like you need to speak to someone, BetterHelp could be a great resource for you. They offer customized online therapy via video chat, audio chat, even a live chat if you don't want to like speak to someone where you see them on a camera if you don't want to. And because it's online, BetterHelp is also more affordable than offline traditional therapy. And if you're thinking, oh, I'd love to, but not sure if I can afford that, that's okay. Just know that you can apply for financial aid if you need to, and BetterHelp does accept HSA benefits as well. If you want to try it out, you fill out a simple questionnaire that helps you assess your specific needs. You get matched with a therapist in under 48 hours, and then you just schedule your session and you're ready to go. And if you ever want to request a new therapist, you can do this at any time for whatever reason with no additional charge. If you want to check it out further, you can use my link downstairs in the description box to sign up and get 10% off your first month. So, is it acceptable for older people to be racist or discriminatory? And actually, the word is not acceptable. That's a terrible phrase of language, Shaaba. Is it excusable? That's what I'm really asking here. Perhaps the best way to approach this subject is to talk about the reasons why I feel, or why my brain feels like it's okay to say that it is in some way excusable. Number one, the most common thing that I am told so many times, particularly when I'm talking about, you know, like grandparents and grandparents' ages, you have to understand, these guys, they lived in a different time. It's a different time. And I totally appreciate how that can be a thing, right? I feel like even in my 27 years of living, there are things that, oh my goodness, I cannot even begin to contemplate the amount of really problematic, questionable things that I said as a stupid teenager, right? That I wouldn't dream of saying now, and that I'm so ashamed and embarrassed of the fact that I used to say. Times do change and language does evolve, and I'm sure that there are probably even things that we say now, today, that will be seen as problematic in 20, 30, however many years' time. Because language does change and it's very loaded, and it does take on new meanings, and it takes a while for any sort of big development to have momentum and to raise awareness about it, right? And I see it a lot in other contexts too. Not necessarily people, but things like TV shows. And whenever I have this conversation, Friends pops into my mind as like the biggest one. You know, so no one thought your life was gonna be this way. That Friends. There are so many things in that show that are so incredibly problematic. Chandler's parents, the issue that Ross has with having a man nanny, the relationship dynamics between Ross and Rachel and how that is somehow considered cute, Joey, and the objectification of women, like all of these things are so incredibly problematic with the show. Yet, everybody loves Friends. I love Friends even to this day. People really like the show, and it's always excused because it was a product of its time. The 6 main cast members and most surrounding cast were all white. It's not okay, but it's excused because it was of its time. And Friends isn't the only one. There's The Simpsons. The amount of times that I've raised an eyebrow and looked at Jamie or just like shared this face of like, that's not okay. Sorry, I'm laughing not because I think it's okay or I'm trivializing the matter, just because it makes me so incredibly uncomfortable. And even just talking about it now, that I can talk about these things and talk about it as if it's okay. Because it feels like it's so out of character. But again, it's just so easy to say, well, it's of its time. Bridget Jones, don't The list goes on and on. What I'm trying to say is in different media forms that are excusable and that we still continue to watch today. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I think it's something that we should be aware of to ensure that we're continuously developing in a positive and growth manner. It doesn't mean that we can't enjoy things whilst recognizing that not everything about it is fantastic, right? But is the same line drawn when it comes to people? Can we really say we can't teach these old dogs new tricks? Like, I don't know if that's an acceptable thing to say. And this is a different point. So perhaps this is point number 2. I've not really structured this video very well, but maybe another reason why I find it so uncomfortable and so difficult to determine whether it's okay thing to say is because the olderness sure, that's a word. The age, the upward age of a person versus a thing, like a media show, has with it a different dynamic of power. You don't have a sense of dynamic of power with a TV show, but you do with other people. And especially in my culture and Asian cultures, we are told you respect your damn elders. And so to call out someone on anything, let alone be like, hey grandpa, you know what, you're being really freaking rude. Like, that just doesn't happen. Because I'm right, you're wrong, I'm big, you're small, there's nothing you can do about it. And obviously that's really problematic, right? Like, I mean, I appreciate that that is not an okay justifiable excuse as to why we should let people get away with things. I would absolutely be lying if I didn't say that there were many a time where I kept my mouth shut and I felt bad for keeping my mouth shut because I was speaking to someone who perhaps I didn't know. 3 sort of people and scenarios that I have in my mind right now. One was an older white man who was doing a job for me. So, you know, like, I was paying them for their expertise. I was alone. It was an incredible dynamic of power. The other 2 are older relatives. But yeah, I don't feel like I can say, look, this is really crap thing for you to say. Can you stop saying it, please? It's really rude. I think it, but I'm just unable to articulate it. And that is clearly a me problem. But why? Why does it happen? Why does it feel like something that is a me problem that many people seem to deal with? Because when you do try and call it out, all you get told is not to make a fuss by other people who are like, oh, shut up, why do you have to be so fragile? Why do you have to be such a drama queen? And then nothing changes because they continue to act the same way anyway. It's very frustrating. Now again, and perhaps this is wrong, the 3rd reason, oh look at that, I came up with 3 points. Accidental structure, woohoo! That I feel weird is because sometimes, although questionable, I know, right, that the intention isn't meaning to be bad. And I get it. Whoops, I accidentally stuck my leg out and tripped over it and now you've fallen off a cliff and you've died. Like, the fact that you didn't mean to do something doesn't stop a negative consequence from occurring. That is not an excuse. But at the same time, we have to recognize that somebody saying something because it's how they've grown up and how they were brought up versus people who are absolutely just nasty, horrible people that mean to discriminate over things that people can't change, there is a big difference there, you know? And I do think that that point of being like, oh, but they have good intentions, they're just speaking in a way that they don't really understand, that is the main point that I've said to myself, to not call out crappy behavior from people who I know are not crappy people. And it's partly because in the moment you don't see the harm in what's going on, which is definitely problematic, right? Because you don't know, it could be that they've got younger kids looking at them, or colleagues or other people looking at them who then think that it's okay, and that's how sort of like bad behavior is passed on. If you don't call things out, then you're part of the problem. And then there's another part of me that's like, oh, well, you know, we should be focusing our energy on the real crappy people in the world instead of these people who clearly mean well. And honestly, I don't know what the solution is. I do think it'd be a wonderful world if everybody felt like they were able to openly and confidently call out bad behavior, even if it's coming from what seems to be like a good but just, you know, uncomfortable, misguided place, regardless of relationship and regardless of age. And I also appreciate that sometimes it just feels really uncomfortable to do that. And it often doesn't amount to any change apart from you just being put in a more difficult position when you're interacting with these exact same people again in the future. And especially when there are other more important channels to focus your activist energy towards, whilst also realizing that these seemingly trivial things can absolutely be damaging if it's then passed on or witnessed by other people, because it then becomes enshrined, right? That's why these people act these ways in the first place. That's why we all have said problematic things in the first place, because we pick it up and we don't see it as a problematic thing. But that doesn't make it okay. I've ended my brain fart, but I have no conclusion for you, and I'm so sorry. I feel like this has been like a pointless video where I've taken you up the hill to see the problem but not helped you come down the other side, so it feels like I haven't done my job. I guess a part of me would really love to know that I'm not the only person that struggles with calling people out, because deep down I know that it's a problematic thing that I'm not able to do that. that. And I think the same part of me is also really wanting to know how big of a deal it is that I don't do that, and how common it is for people to do that, to excuse these behaviours that we know are somewhat problematic. Because I think there are many things in the world that may seem problematic in some ways, but that just people are like, hey, look, if this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do. Like, sometimes I need to buy things from Amazon. Do I like the fact that I buy things from Amazon? No. Does it mean that I'm going to stop buying things from Amazon? Well, until something better comes along, probably not. But do I feel happy about it? No, I don't. Thank you for putting up with my ramblings. I hope they've made a modicum of sense. If you feel able and willing to share, please do let me know downstairs in the comments, but let's keep it respectful and kind when interacting with others. I guess until next time, I will love you and leave you. Be kind and have a great day. Bye.